Oh my gosh, of course. So it was the CEO of Hyatt. It was the chief I remember like it was yesterday. I remember the room and everything. The chief human resources officer of Hyatt, and everybody's freaking out, that he's
Because you're
there.
walking over there?
No, everybody's just freaking out because he's there. They're like,
Oh, gotcha.
everybody just want to make sure
Everybody
it's
on their
perfect. I
P's and
mean, it's
Q's
the
there.
bosses on top of
Yeah.
bosses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so nobody was talking to him. I just walked up and said I went to own the hotel. I mean, of course, everybody was like, the general manager included was like, well, what did she? They, of course, asked, well, what did you say? They wanted to know what I said.
Welcome to another episode of the Bigger Than Food podcast. I am your host, Apollo Woods, and I said every time we have an episode that I talk to some amazing people. This guest is actually from the big city of Atlanta, but before we get into that, what we do on the podcast is we talk, we share, they share their stories about how they've gotten to where they are in life. They share some tips, some business strategies, some personal gems, an inspiring conversation. And so today is not is one of those episodes that you're not going to be disappointed, because we met some time ago, a couple years back, through social media. We connected from the work that she's done, and surprisingly, now I'm gonna give you a little bit of taste of how amazing she is, and then we'll get into it. But we're not gonna focus on that part of the whole conversation. So a few years back, saw this article in a national magazine that said there was a Black-owned hotel in Oklahoma. Now, y'all know me. I'm always trying to find things that are Black-owned related, Black-owned businesses, Black entrepreneurs, period, here in Oklahoma. So when I found out that there was a Black-owned hotel in El Reno, I started searching. I started digging. I found out who it was. So got connected, followed. During that time, I was doing the developers conference, which is coming back. We reached out, established a connection, started talking, brought her to Oklahoma City for our conference. And since then, I've been able to see her just do some amazing things in the realms of being. Now, when she gets on, she'll probably correct me on this one. The youngest African-American, the youngest African-American woman to own 3 hotels. Now, she probably going to correct to clean it up for me better than I could. But that's just part of the conversation we'll have today. And so today we have on the Bigger Than Food podcast, we have Davonne Reaves all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. Davonne, welcome to the Bigger Than Food podcast.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Apollo?
I'm good. Now, did I do an okay job of describing how amazing that you are?
You did an excellent job.
I do the best. I do the best I can. So I'm excited about this. You are busy doing your thing, and the things that I've seen you go from focusing on a part of the industry, graduating, other things, and I'm sure there's many other things you got going on. But today on the podcast, how we always like to start is asking the question: who is Davonne? Who were you as the person? How would you describe yourself?
Oh, wow. This is a different podcast because nobody ever really asked me that. Who is Davonne? Well, Davonne is a great person, a family person, try to do the right thing, try to be happy, try to be positive, loves her family, loves her friends, is a hard worker, loves her son, grandma's girl, daddy's girl, I'm a Gemini. That's Davonne. The part, because I know as women, we always lead with what do we do? I'm starting off saying this is who I am as a person. So I definitely try to be a good person, try to be a loving person. And as my grandma would say, you want to treat people, better than you want to be treated. So that's just something that I live by. And it has helped me throughout my career and connecting with so many people. So that is Davonne as a person. And as a business person, as
Nope,
you
nope,
mentioned,
nope, 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 nope.
that's it.
Because it's easy for us to start jumping into to what we do. We're taking a short break. Here's a word from our podcast sponsor. Get ready for a taste explosion with Barbells and Barbecue Food Truck. Sink your teeth into our tender, juicy beef brisket, succulent smoked turkey, and flavor-packed pulled pork. From birthday parties and weddings to game nights and large corporate events, Barbells and Barbecue is all your catering needs covered. Don't miss out. Book us for your next event at barbellsandbbq.com. Barbells and Barbecue, where the barbecue is banging. Yes, we're back. Enjoy the rest of the podcast. We're going to get
That's why I started what as a person. I did good, right? I did good.
You did. You did. Because it's so easy for us to start talking about the things that we do. And just like you mentioned, people often don't ask, like, who are you as the person? And that's why I wanted it might seem like a challenge to think about.
And I'm beautiful too. How can I?
There you go.
You know,
better name them all.
Out, you know.
You better name them all.
Come on now. Come through. That's right.
Better name them all. Somebody
and I
love
I love the green. You know, that's my favorite color. So I
love it. We got some things in common with the green color.
And people say I'm funny. I don't think I'm that funny, but people be laughing. So when I say
you got it. Look,
it's a humor.
You do. You go from, I think you go from like being this very professional woman on a mission, and then you throw in some humor there, and I think people are like, okay, is she being serious? Is she joking? Not sure, but I also think that's who you are as the person, because why do you think it's so hard for ambitious people to talk about themselves, like the individual person?
Because we're so focused on work, and ambitious people are so focused on winning. So we don't really focus on anything else besides winning and being number one and beating ourselves and beating other people. When I mean beating, meaning like we're in competition. Typically people who are really ambitious, they have some type of competitiveness in them because they're working so hard to a goal, whether maybe they're not competing against other people, but maybe they're competing against themselves, right? They set a goal and they want to beat it. Then once they master that goal, then they want to go to the next goal. So a lot of times with ambitious people, we don't focus on the present. We look back years later and be like, oh, wow, I really wish I could have savored that moment and really embraced it. And I catch myself doing that sometimes. So I think that's what happens with ambitious people. We're so focused on the goal and everything else and not focus on exactly, what we accomplished and, who we are and what we've been able to do and the impact.
I think that's true. Especially as you get older and you are going down a path of figuring out like what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And sometimes coming with that, you have people who look to you. It's especially when you assume the role of being a leader and a mentor. Not everyone is a leader and a mentor. The people have those like qualities that they might have. Mm-hmm. But when you assume the role, especially being a mentor to others, you have this need to help others before yourself, right?
Right.
So I can see how that could be conflicting. But before we get into all that stuff, we're gonna stick around and talk about who Davonne is for a little bit. So talk about like where you're from and what was it like for you growing up? Because you mentioned family a lot, and I know that you're big on family. So talk about what you like to. What it was like for you growing up, because you mentioned your grandma. I know that's an important person in your life.
So I was actually born in Philadelphia. I was born in North Philly, and my mom moved to Georgia or Clayton County, really Jonesboro, south of Atlanta. Lotto, the rapper, she made it famous. When I was growing up, it wasn't cool to be from Clayton County, but she made it cool now. And so I grew up in Clayton County. I went to elementary school there. I went to middle school. I went to high school there. And, grew up middle class. My dad was in Philly. My mom was in Georgia. My grandmother was, or my maternal grandmother was south, 2 hours south of me. So we would see her a lot. And so that's how I developed that bond with her, because we just grew up to be so close. And so people would be like, "Oh, you act like an old lady." I mean, I was around a woman who was 60 years older than me. So I mean, you just get little habits, that you don't realize it. And and so that was, my life. And my grandmother was really big in family, even though our immediate family was small. So I have a younger sister who we grew up in the same house. I have an older brother. We have different. He's not an older brother, a younger brother. Even though sometimes he think he my older brother, but a younger brother who he was in Philly. So while we were in Georgia, he was in Philly. And then I have an older sister who was in Philly as well. So definitely, different. It wasn't a typical nuclear, family, but we still grew up in love, and we didn't do that half. Some people are like, "Oh, that's my half." No, it's just, that's my brother, that's my sister. We had family reunions every year. So huge, that was a huge family. So we're looking at family reunions like 200 people, you know. That's just on my mom's side. We didn't touch my dad's dad and my dad's mom's side and my mom's dad's side. So that was just my mom's mom's side, that we had a lot of family reunions. So every summer, so being with family, and my I had a fortunate, I had a lot of strong women in my life. My godmother, my aunt, my mom, my grandmother, both grandmothers, and my aunt, both aunts. So and then my friends became family. So I have a best friend who I've been friends with since I've been 13. So when friends, from when I worked at the Hyatt, we're still friends. So just I have a small circle. I wouldn't say it's kind of small, but definitely being around family. And I have a son, he's 5. So he's like the highlight of my life. And he's the first boy in the family, because we're just on my mom's side, because we're first grandson on my dad's side. And so it's because we just had a lot of girls growing up. And so just having him, and my thought process of change, with family. I'm more in the family now because of him, because it's like, okay, this is why my grandma, did the things that she did, and because of family. And it's so important. And now, since I've received more attention, from the media, and I've created this platform where I've gained I've developed a decent sized community. And so just going back to my family, I have cousins who I grew up with when I was in Georgia. I mean, I grew up in Clayton County. We call each other sister cousins. And so just having that family, and then having that space where I can just be myself, and not the Davonne Reaves, hotel queen, hotel diva, where I could just be myself, and we just have a good time, and eating crab legs, eating food, just having a good old time. So when I think of family, that's what I think of, just a space where you can be yourself. Mm-hmm. And folks, they gonna love on you no matter what. Yeah. They gonna be there for you no matter what. Sometimes you get along with your family, and sometimes you don't. Every family has issues, right. But you can't choose your family. So it only, so I'm grateful for the family that I have in my life.
Yeah. I'm coming from a big family as well. And so we have every Easter or Thanksgiving getting together. It's a lot of people. I'm just so used to it that people who are not from a big family, it's overwhelming at times. Yeah. And I think one of the benefits of being a part of a large family, and you kind of, and just my interpretation, we were describing your family, you start to learn how to manage personalities and people young. Because there's a
Yeah.
lot going on. And then as you got
Mm-hmm.
older,
Mm-hmm.
you do value family more because then you realize like why we have those family reunions. I know a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people that don't have family reunions, and we
Right.
still have ours. So, as you, what were they like for you? Because
You're
it sounds like you
breaking
got a
up.
pretty large family.
I don't know
Mhm.
if it's my end or your end, but you're breaking up.
Hold on.
Because I
How
would
about
hate
now?
for you to
Is that
keep.
better?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah. It was like
Okay.
garbled or something. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
I don't know
Okay,
if you had to
so
re-record it. Yeah.
we have so I'm from a big family, and I
Hmm.
could talk about family reunions all day long. So when you think about your family, the size of it is, and gatherings and getting together, like describe that family reunion experience because I haven't been able to talk to many people that are from like a pretty sizable family.
Oh gosh, we have the folks from the country. You know they making pork rinds, uh, like fresh. I don't eat pork, but they making fresh pork rinds and selling it. Then you got the other family because we're fortunate enough to own some land down there, so we have our family reunion of land, and we built the building, without a loan, just family, putting their funds together. And they some folks go out there to be shooting deer, and then you have some folks from the city who is not going to do that. They're like, oh no, we need, uh I can't stay at this hotel. Like, what are you doing? I'm not coming down to the country. And so it's a lot of different dynamics. Like you said, we have politicians. So I'm privileged enough to come from a very educated family. Have
Mhm.
politicians, we have doctors, we have hotel owners. So
Mhm.
we had people in real estate, you
Yeah.
know, folks, have masters and doctorates. And, like I said, they're doctors. And I don't think we have any dentists. We have funeral home owners. So it's very diverse when it comes to business, right? We have educators, we have people from the Greek community. We have it's a lot of different religions. So I grew some members of my family are Muslim. So I grew up with understanding, even have some cousins who are Buddhists. So I was able to grow up and appreciate and respect. Probably the biggest thing is respect different religions because they were my family and I grew up with it. Had people from they married from different cultures. So learning how to interact with different cultures. Um, but I learned from interacting with different cultures, not really from family, but school. I went to diverse schools, and I was part of like the gifted programs and accelerated programs, and so those that it tend to be more diverse. And like I went to a black school, but the gifted programs or the accelerated programs were diverse, so I was able to interact with different cultures. And working at the Hyatt, I was able to interact with different cultures. So all of that helped me to where I am today. I don't think I would have been able to navigate without being comfortable with working with different cultures. And I've always had a curiosity about things, and I have it even more now of trying to understand people and who they are and why they move, and have an appreciation for history, because like I said, I was around my grandma all the time. So just, stories.
Mhm.
And I just always been a history buff. And
Yeah.
so my aunt, she's not here anymore. We For our spring breaks, she would take my sister and I, and we would go, and other folks, she'll take us to the beach sometime, but we would go to the museums.
Okay.
We would go to the Civil Rights Museum, like in Birmingham and Montgomery.
Mhm.
And we would go to the circus, we would go to different places. So she was really big on understanding our history and understanding where we came from. And she would tell us, of course she had an appreciation and respect and admiration for Dr. Martin Luther King, but she always taught us that he wasn't the only one in the civil rights movement. Right? There were women, there were other people, there were other foot soldiers, because she marched and she was an activist. So she I didn't understand it then, but I have an appreciation for it now. Um, for understanding, what we had to go through. She taught us about, for Christmas, we didn't get toys from my aunt. We gonna get a book. I think one year I was happy she got me the Mariah Carey CD. That was about the lucky I was gonna get. That was the closest thing I was gonna get. But we got a book. And not only did we get a book, we had to read the book in order to get something. We had to finish it. We had to write a report. Like, it was a whole thing with my aunt. And then Christmas, oh my gosh. So I used to hate when I was younger. I get it now, but when I was younger, we would have Christmas at my grandmother's house. And I would hate it because before we could open the gifts, we had a whole church service. And it wouldn't be like 10 minutes. It'd be like a full blown out church service. And we had to read a passage from the Bible and we sing it. And the kids were like, the toys underneath the tree. Why are you torturing us? It'd be like a whole hour. Oh, wait, I ain't finished. And then you think, okay, after we finish, church service and everybody praying, and kids, we're like, we don't care about this stuff. We don't care it's Jesus' birth. We don't care. We just want to open the gifts. Then we gotta have breakfast. Then we gotta cook for all these people. Then we gotta clean. So by the time the toys came, it'd be like 12, 1 o'clock. So that was my Christmas. I was be like, oh, we had to get on the big Bibles. And my grandma, she couldn't read. So we had to read Bible. It. Oh, you already know, the big old table Bible.
What color was it?
Brian, come on now. Okay. You already know what color it was. Come on now, get with it, Then I had to read the Bible. Then we had to do it out loud. And then we had to practice the song. I mean, it was a whole production in my grandma's living room every year.
Oh, that's funny. So I'm laughing because like when I moved to Houston, one of my good friends, she's like family, she's like a sister to me. And so the times when I couldn't afford to come back to Oklahoma for holidays, just visit, they would invite me to their house. Well, a large part of their family is Catholic and Catholic, and then of course a Baptist as well. But they would have a production. It would be they'd have sweaters. That they would have literally a printed out program, and it was like this. It was like a institution every year, and they still do it. So here's me, country boy from a big family. How you bring some food over, you start eating and laughing and joking. They had game tournaments. Now these black folks, they had game tournaments. They had areas where there were card tables. It was like going to a casino.
That was on my dad's side. We didn't do that. We didn't do it on my mom's side. We did it on my dad's side. We played chess and spades afterwards on my dad's side.
I had no idea. I thought my family was fun and diverse. I got in there. I was like, I feel like that they have just taken it off to another level. What I appreciate about that was a very diverse family, because when you're from a small town, you don't get to see a lot of diversity in terms of black people, education, experience, and traveling and all that. So to be around them was like, man, I'm getting to see something that I saw on the Cosby Show and the Huxtables or on A Different World. I could see it in real life. So I hear you talk about that for your family. Looking back, how can you now see how having those hands-on experiences and people you can touch and talk to, can you see how that having that as a child growing up influence what you are doing now?
So when we got older and we didn't really do like the Christmas traditions. Really, when my aunt passed away, we really didn't do the Christmas traditions. My grandma would fuss at us because we didn't put the lights up at her house, and but I will say, and then my grandma had me like read, reading the scriptures or saying the poem at church, and I'm all stuttering and messing up, and you know how the folks in the church be like, keep going, baby, you're doing good. And you really didn't, but they just tell you that to make you feel good.
Let them use you.
You did good, baby. You did good. And I didn't realize what my grandma was preparing me for was, I had to practice. And now I'm speaking more than ever in public. And so that now it's a full circle, right? Coming back and, speaking and practicing and preparing. And she'll be like, Davonne, you talk too fast, slow down. And so, I have to slow down, and because my grandmother, she didn't have she wasn't educated. So the highest education she received was the 8th grade education. But she made sure all of her children and all of her grandchildren, we all graduated from college. I have probably the lowest education. Everybody got masters and certificates and stuff. My mom probably could go get her doctorate if she wants to. But she emphasized on education, right? And my grandmother emphasized on, she taught me a very valuable thing that I didn't realize, that it's been a huge contribution to my success, which has been being grateful and acknowledging that you're grateful. And she was very thoughtful. So she would send thank you notes, but I would have to write them because she couldn't write. So I would have to write her thank you notes and the Christmas cards, and I had to do all that for her. And I remember when she would get mad if she got a gift for somebody, and they didn't even say thank you for the gift, right? Or just to say, hey, I received it, thank you. And I remember how she would get upset. And she was like, I'm not going to get them anything anymore. Well, that stuck with me because I made it a point, if somebody, to always say thank you. I even teach my son, always say thank you, because it goes a long way, because nobody has to do anything for you, right? And we're not owed anything. And so that, by me saying thank you and sending a handwritten note saying thank you, or taking the picture and just acknowledging and just saying that, it goes a long way, because not a lot is more people. It is more people that don't say thank you, or don't acknowledge it, or don't appreciate it. And I didn't realize how big that was with my relationship building, just from saying thank you to people. Literally. So that's probably one of the biggest things from my childhood and traditions, and that's really just stuck with me, and it's just been very, very helpful, I believe, in my career, just by something simple as saying thank you, and remembering something, remembering, my grandma was very thoughtful. If somebody was sick, she'll send them a get well card. Or she may stop by the hospital, or she may give them a call, and she may say that she's praying for them. And so those little things. And so now if I see somebody and they tell me, the last time I saw them, their daughter was sick, and I'll say, hey, how you doing? How's your daughter doing? Oh, wow. They're like, oh, thank you for asking. I'm not doing it. I'm literally like, how's your daughter? Is she okay? Just something as simple as that, because it's so many people who care about themselves and they don't think about others.
That's when you start talking about those little things that your grandmother did that you probably as a kid didn't care for too much. And then as you got older, you started doing them. And I'll just speak for myself. Like, there are things that, like, I remember from my grandparents or my mom will do, and when the opportunity presents itself, it's like at that moment something comes in my head. It's like that little reminder of, like, say this, or did you think about this? And so then as I've gotten older, and from my own experiences, like when people say things like someone would say this, for example, like in terms of prayer, someone say, hey, would you like me to pray for you? And then I've actually done it. People are surprised that someone actually did it. So when you say, hey, I'm genuinely asking you, how are you doing? And I just wonder, and where do you think in our culture and society, where it's gone to this place of not showing empathy or genuine concern for people? Like, is there like a significant time, or they're just like, what do you think is happening where
I think people don't really teach that anymore. It's more of an entitlement. And I just think a lot of things just don't get my grandmother, she didn't even really teach it to me. I just did it. I didn't have any other choice. So it was like, you need to come over here and write these Christmas cards out for me. It wasn't
Yeah,
like a, it
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
like
Our
a teachable
elders didn't
moment.
teach us. It was like it was instruction. Like
It
this
was
is what's gonna
instruct. It
happen.
wasn't. It was
Yeah,
like you better do it. It's like, I'm not gonna
yeah.
tell her no. What she gonna? I'm not gonna tell her no. You don't
Right,
tell my grandma no. They just not.
right.
She just didn't do that.
Yeah,
And so if you did, you got in trouble and you just didn't tell her no anymore. And
yeah.
so I think it's something that is not taught,
Mhm.
right? Or people, they don't have the time for it, or they don't think it's a big deal, or they don't know. For example, my mentee, she was invited to a luncheon by probably one of the most powerful women in Atlanta. Well, really, I was invited and she wanted to go. So I brought her on as my plus one. And I told her, and I said, hey, this is what you do. Go to the dollar store. If you ain't got $1, I'll give it to you. Give her a thank you card, a handwritten thank you card to say thank you for having me, thank you for allowing me to sit at your table. I had a really good time. She would have never known to do that if I wouldn't have said anything to her.
Mhm.
She she got a note, thank you note. I gave it to her. She said, oh, she got class. Oh my goodness. So now if she, she'll see her or something, it'll be that connection. She'll remember her, right?
Mhm.
So I told her, as you go into these interviews and you want to meet she wants to meet a lot of big people in real estate development. You meeting all these people, send them a handwritten thank you note. I'm telling you, they're going to remember you. Get in contact with their assistant, send their, I even send assistants thank you notes, because the assistants, a lot of people, they don't know who the gatekeeper, they think the CEO is the most powerful person, but you have to understand who
Right.
is the most powerful person. That's something I learned from my godmother. So a
Mhm.
lot of that is not teaching, and a lot of
Yeah,
people, they're just selfish. They don't. We're in a world where more, and also it's the technology too. Everything is
yeah,
so automated, right? So who's going
yeah,
to sit down and do a handwritten note? And if my grandmother, I don't even think my mom really, because I didn't learn that from my mom. I learned it from my
mhm,
grandma. So
yeah,
it didn't make it to my mom for her to teach me. It made it so if I wouldn't have spent time with my grandma, I wouldn't have
right,
known to do it. So I think that's
yeah,
where the disconnect, it was just more so those teachable moments. But trust
yeah.
me, my son will be doing the same thing.
I'm sure he will. So, like, even for me, growing up, there was always some type of civic club to be a part of. Like, we were
Mhm.
in 4-H. I was
Oh
in
yeah.
scouting, all the way to
Yeah.
Eagle Scout. In church, you had to be an usher. You had to do something.
Oh
So,
yeah.
for me, growing up, there was always some type of civic club to be a part of. Whereas now, things you have to pay for things to be a part of, and people miss those like personal values. And something you mentioned as you were talking was I got from that, it's like you're leaving an impression,
Mhm.
because people, whether or not people publicly, they want to be acknowledged. When you
Mhm.
give of yourself, you want to be acknowledged for the thing that you did for
Mhm.
someone. So they
Right.
want that thank you. And so as you're talking, it's making sense to me how these life experiences have led you to be, as you call yourself, the queen of hotel, the diva of hotel. So we're gonna get there in a second. Before we get
Somebody
there,
else actually named me that. I can't even take credit.
oh,
Other folks named me that.
okay. So
Right.
you are the queen of hotels. That's what we're gonna call you on this episode today. We'll call you that.
I'll take
We
it.
we go because we gonna get there. So as you are growing up, and it, what did you when did you figure out, like, I assume because of your family influences and people around you, that college was the option. It's not
Oh,
an
that was the
option.
only
It was
choice. Yeah,
it was an
yeah.
expectation, right?
Yeah, it was the
So
only
at
choice.
what point, like maybe in high school, or what point in your life do you recall, like, I know I want to go to college and this is what I want to do? And how did you come to make the decision to attend the university that you did?
So I really always wanted to be a history teacher, and my dad was like, I don't know if you're gonna make that much money. So that was out the window. Really, to be quite honest, I really wanted to be a anthropologist and study Egyptian history. That's what I really wanted to do. I mean, not an anthropologist, archaeologist. That's what I really, really, really wanted to do. I always had a fascination with Egypt, ancient Egypt. And they were like, nah, you can't do that. And so, and I was like, well, can I be a history teacher? They was like, nah, you don't want to do that. My dad was a fireman. So he just always just wanted us to make money and make more money than him. That's all my dad really cared about. And so then my godmother, she was an event planner. And so I was like, oh, and she was okay. She was very comfortable. I said, oh, I'll be, not, fascinated by her. I said, oh, I'll be event planner. I would, go with her to different conferences. I'm like 16 and stuff, going with her to conferences. So I've always been exposed to different, older, more mature people with PhD. So it helped me be comfortable with working around people who were at a higher position than me. And so, which helped a lot where I'm doing now. But when I got to college, definitely, I mean, I had, I can't describe how I never knew that my life would be like this in college. I always knew I was going to be successful because I was always driven, but I never knew it was going to be to this extent. Like, I never knew that my mind could, like, I was even doing my morning walk this morning, some of the ideas and things that I want to accomplish, before I'm 40. Yeah. Back when I was in college, I would have never thought that. I wouldn't have been exposed to that because I wasn't around those type of people.
Okay, right? But before you get to that, like talk about I understand the expectation. Like, for me, it was expected. Everybody in my family knew, like, you're the one going to college, you're the one getting out of Duncan. So it was expected, right? In terms of as you were getting ready to make your decision, what was that like for you? Because I think it's I'm not gonna say it's unique.
You mean make a decision to go to college?
No, like your thought process of, okay, so the expectations is for you to go to college, and you mentioned being want to be like an archaeologist and study that in terms of that. But as you were making that decision of, if you recall, like, what, this is me and my experience, like, where.
Well, I really wanted to go to school in California. That's where I really wanted to go. I went to San Francisco and San Jose and Santa Cruz when I was 13, and I fell in love with it. And I was like, that's where I want to go to college. Both my grandmother and my mother said no. They were like, that's too far. And that's where I really wanted to go. I didn't even know what I wanted to do. And so they were like, up. And then my mom, she went to Clark.
Okay.
I wanted to go to Spelman. And she said, you can't go to Spelman because I went to Clark. So, and I was like,
so I wanted to go to Morehouse. My mom kind of said the same thing. She was like, that's too far. And I was like, all right. So I ended up going to Tulsa.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, they say you could do whatever you want. You could be whatever you want to be. And then it's like, but this is where I want to go. And then she just shut it down. And then, it was a Georgia State University. I think one of my really good friends, I was in band in high school. And so we both played the clarinet, and she, that's a lot where my competitiveness came from, me playing the clarinet. I always had to be first chair. And so she graduated and she went to Georgia State. And I think I went to visit her one time, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And it wasn't that far from my mom because she really didn't want me to be that far away from her. So it was like 20 minutes away. So I just ended up going to Georgia State. So it wasn't like ooh, this is it. It was like, I really want to go here and I can't go. So I'll just go. It was like, I'll just go here. And then my aunt didn't want me to go to a school. I was going to go to a school in Philly. Like, I was even looking at University of Penn and Temple. And my aunt, when I was growing up, she was like, you always go to Philly. It's more than the world than Philly. So that was out of it. So it was just more like, it wasn't like going to Georgia State was the best decision I ever could have made. I'm a proud Panther. I'm a very proud Panther. I'm on their board at the hospitality school. Like, I always take a selfie with the president. Like, I'm a proud alum of Georgia State. So that was the best decision I could have made, is selecting Georgia State University.
So I didn't realize that your mascot was a panther.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why am I thinking it was something else?
I mean, my dad thought the whole time that I went to UGA when I was in school. I mean, he would call, hey, Davonne, I see your football. And at the time when I was at Georgia State, we didn't have a football team yet. And so he's like, I see your school on TV. No, Daddy.
That's not us.
That's not us. They're playing football. They just won. I said, Daddy, what color were they? They were red. I said, I go to Georgia State. Okay. Georgia State. Because I took advantage of scholarship. So my parents really didn't have to pay for my school. And so that's why, he didn't have to write a check, because I didn't have to ask him for money for school. Yeah. I just asked him money for other stuff.
So early in the conversation, you mentioned you worked at the Hyatt. Did you work at the Hyatt in high school?
No. Actually, I worked at Auntie Anne's in high school.
Okay.
the pretzel place. But
Okay.
in college, I worked at the Hyatt Regency Atlanta
Okay. So you got
downtown.
into the hospitality industry. What was it
Mhm.
about hospitality industry that made you consider that as a career choice?
I just fell in love with it. It was just the people. I got these discounts and I came across, I got a chance to, at the front desk, I got a chance to interact with so many type of people. And we just having conversations. And like I said, I was able to travel and I realized that you can make a career out of it. I mean, the people who I worked with, I mean, it was just I can't describe it. For the folks who love hospitality, you get it. And the people who don't, they like, I can't work in this space. And so I just felt I got bit by the bug. And I think it was really just the people who I interacted with and the people who, the people who I just interacted with, internally and externally. And I just thought it was I, 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 I just fell in love with it. I
Yeah.
don't even know how to, because you're in the hospitality space too. So it's just something like
Yeah,
you
mine's a little
just,
different. I work with folks in the restaurant world. That's a little bit
that's
different.
still hospitality. It's
It,
not
it, it is. I
hotels.
think in a broader sense it is, but
Yeah.
restaurant folks and folks who are in hotels is
Oh, it's two different things, but
the
like the food
hospitality.
and beverage.
It's
But the thing
definitely
is,
different.
we have food. And another reason why I fell in love
Yeah,
with the hotel industry is because the hotel industry or the hospitality industry, it's every component that's needed,
it
right?
is.
So hotels,
Mm-hmm.
there's food. So it's still food and beverage.
Yep.
There's human resources, there's ownership, there's
Yep.
architectural designs. There's so many different things that you could do, in the hotel space. And I think that's why I just fell in love with it because it was just
Yeah.
marketing, sales. So yeah.
So it's a big thing. So you're working in the hotel industry,
Hmm.
and now we can start talking about the you being a hotel diva.
Hmm.
So you're meeting different people, you're having some conversations, you're starting to see what's possible.
Hmm.
I can see you being the person that wants to learn more.
Hmm.
You might be in this role right now, but you're seeking to learn more and connect
Hmm.
with people. I see that in you. Then at what stage did you start to think, you know what, I think I might want to possibly explore the option of either uh, managing the hotel, or maybe you were like, you know what, I want to own one. How did you come to that place?
You know what? I was a part of this organization called Under 30 Gateway. And it was folks in there under the age of 30 and they owned a hotel. And I just thought that was cool. And I was like, okay, I want to do it. I didn't know what it took. I didn't understand it. I just knew I wanted to own it. People looked at me crazy because they was like, well, how you gonna get it? You have to have a lot of money. And I was like, I'm gonna get it. I went up to the CEO of the Hyatt. Like, I was just like, this is just because I always strive to be the highest position. I didn't understand ownership at that time. Even though just about everybody in my nuclear family owned a house, so it still didn't dawn on me of ownership. And so I was like, okay, this is the highest position. I just wanted to own it. I said, them people over there can do it. I could do it too. It wasn't anything like, ooh, I want to do this to create generational wealth or be wealthy, or it was just owning a hotel. I was like 22. I was real young. I was like, I just want to own a hotel. I didn't know what that meant
So this is what I love
whatsoever.
about this is what I love about how you describe that. It
Mhm.
it didn't sound like there was no fear of asking the question. And goes back
No.
to some things you were saying that like your grandmother made you do. Like, this
Yeah.
is something that you got to do. And then you have your mentee, hey, I want you to go and get this thank you card. There's something that you have to do. And doing that thing that people don't do leads to other things. So I can picture in my head 22-year-old Davonne walk up to the CEO of this hotel and say, I want to know how to own the hotel. I could literally see that in my head. I could see
In my front
probably
desk uniform.
I could see you in your front desk uniform and probably your manager having a whole like issue of you talking to the CEO.
Oh my gosh, you
I can
should
see
have
it in my
seen
head.
that. Oh my goodness.
Did
Cause
that
so
happen? You're listening to the Bigger Than Food podcast. where we explore the journeys of those who dare to make a difference. Today's episode is brought to you by Boss Up Business, dedicated to supporting individuals and organizations committed to positive change. Stay tuned as we continue our conversation with our guest, uncovering insights and experiences that inspire all of us to reach higher and dream bigger.
Oh my gosh, of course. So it was the CEO of Hyatt. It was the chief I remember like it was yesterday. I remember the room and everything. The chief human resources officer of Hyatt, and everybody's freaking out, that he's there.
Because you're walking over there?
No, everybody's just freaking out because he's there. They're like, everybody just want to make sure it's perfect. I mean, it's the bosses on top of bosses, right? Mm-hmm. And so nobody was talking to him. I just walked up and sit on the hotel. I mean, of course, everybody was like, the general manager included was like, well, what did she? They, of course, asked, well, what did you say? They wanted to know what I said. I said no, because I guess they thought I was going to talk bad about I don't care about y'all. Look, I'm caring about me. And they didn't have a program. They didn't have a program to do it. So he connected me with the chief human resources officer. We set up a call, and they didn't have a program. The only thing they had was the training program. And I told them, and my goal, I said, when I get my hotel, I'm going to come and tell you. And I did. That was my goal.
Oh, wait. Okay. So at that time, there was no program, but because you decided to go make an introduction, started the journey of understanding the process and how to become. Mm-hmm. Do they have a program now?
There's not really a hotel program now.
Okay.
For any of the brands. Like, they have different incentives and stuff for diversity, but there's nothing that'll really like walk you through it. And they don't really have anything for their employees to become a hotel owner. Like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I don't know of any hotel brands that offer that. So they still don't. They have programs to help you become a general manager. And even schools. There are a lot of hotel schools where they teach you to become like a general manager, but they don't really teach you to become a hotel owner.
Yeah, that's like in grad school. We got my MBA. They don't teach you anything about entrepreneurship. That's something as real life experience. You go through some classes.
Yeah, you really can't go to school for entrepreneur. I know, because they have. I mean, I see people going to school, but it's like you going into debt, right? My thing is, for the folks who want to be an entrepreneur and they go to school, understand finance, understand like marketing, understand like the basic fundamentals of business that'll help you to give you the leap ahead. And really, you're going to school for your network, especially if you're going to school for real estate. You're going to school for your now, unless if you're doing stuff, to try to be on Wall Street, definitely you need to go to school, and especially the even type of school. But yeah, so I get it.
Yeah, and I don't think that, like, looking back from having 2 degrees and student loan debt, if I knew 15, 20 years ago that I wanted to own my own business or be an entrepreneur and had more people to talk to, I probably would have gone a different route. But just from my experience, I didn't have a lot of people that I knew that actually owned their own business from the town that I'm from. So that's the process I thought. But like advising folks now, it would be a different suggestion I'd give to them. But when you went up to so after that conversation with the CEO and the big dogs at the top, where did it lead to at that point? What was the mental discovery or unlocking that happened for you?
Oh, I was like laser focused. One of my friends, it's actually really funny. So at the time we weren't friends. We worked together at the Hyatt, but we went back and forth with each other. She had an attitude. I had an attitude. It was like a culture, because we were competitive. So she had to be number one. The Hyatt had to be number one. And turned out we ended up becoming really good friends. And so she left and was pregnant. She got married, and she ended up leaving for maternity leave because she got pregnant. And she came back and she said, Davonne, I think you'll be really good for this. There's a non-paid internship for this company, this hotel consulting firm. At the time, I was trying to get into like the transactional side of hotel ownership, but you had to have experience And I didn't go to school for finance or real estate or hotels, so they wouldn't even look at my resume.
So for
And
clarification, so we say transactional side, meaning like acquisition?
anything like brokerage,
Okay.
analytical work, asset management. That's what I mean by transactional side, like dealing with the trans or the acquisitions of a hotel or development. That's what I
Okay.
mean. And so I didn't have any of that experience. I only worked in the operations. Like if I would have taken an internship at Hyatt corporate office, that probably would have helped, but I didn't know. And it was too late by then because I graduated. And so she's like, hey, I think you should take a look at it. So it was a non-paid internship. I applied and I didn't get it. I'm like, how I get turned down for a free internship? Like, what? Like, so, little old me, don't take no for an answer. And so I am very persistent. And I, reached out to him, he didn't respond. And so then I started going to different events that I knew he would be at. And of course he probably like, yo, this girl is crazy. I was like, hey, how you doing? I would sit next to him. He was like, oh, I know he was like, yo, this girl is crazy. And so finally I was like, look, he's like, I was like, I keep, emailing you, you don't respond. I keep calling. And so finally we set up a meeting and he was just like, well, I didn't, respond because for one, I guess he was seeing if it was a test to see if I was serious. And then two, he didn't understand why after graduation, why I would take a non-paid internship, because that's normally for like college folks. And so I said, no, I really want to get into asset management. And I knew that this will help me. And so he took me on and he said, I'm gonna give you 3 months. Of course, he fell in love with me. Of course, I stayed there after the 3 months and went there full time, right? And so that was the jump start of my career.
Okay, wait. This goes back to when you said that people don't think that you're funny. So, like, after you did the internship, you then came on to the company as a full-time employee.
Yeah, I was an analyst. Yeah.
Okay, I got to clarify that, Bob, because I want to make sure for someone that's watching or listening, that's something even I skip over. You took a non-paid, making no money internship to learn something for 3 months that led to a full-time offer. I think we got to park there for a moment.
Yeah.
And talk about that, because you saw something bigger than just this being, it's not paid, so I'm not going to take it. But even before that, you were persistent in developing a relationship with someone to give you an opportunity that led to that. So, like, dig into that a little bit more. Like, what was it?
Now, my dad didn't agree with that, right?
I'm pretty sure your pops didn't, because he didn't want you to be an archaeologist or something. He wanted you to be something.
So he was like, you working for free? My dad did not believe anything. He didn't even agree with volunteering because that was free. He didn't believe anything. You should get paid for every second of your life.
Bob said, let's get to the money.
So I had to work there in the morning. So I worked there for free in the morning and had to pay. I said, Daddy, why you tripping? I ain't going to be asking you for any money. He was like, oh, okay. And so I worked there in the morning for free. And then at night I worked at the Hyatt. I did that for 3 months. Woo, that was stressful now. But and so that's where I learned about development, hotel development, understanding the brands, the hotel brands, the type of brands, feasibility studies. So I'm reading the feasibility studies at work, trying to be prepared for at the Hyatt, trying to be prepared for the next day. So it was just fascinating to me because it was different. And I think I was starting to get bored at the Hyatt at operations. It just wasn't my calling. Like, it wasn't stimulating me. It was nothing wrong. It just wasn't stimulating. It's like you only can check in and check out, somebody at so many times, you know what I mean? After a while. So just working in that position as a non-paid internship, really, I did take a chance. He took a chance on me. I took a chance on him and doing that. But I knew it in my heart. I said, if I take this position, this is what's going to help me get to a job in hotel asset management or the transactional side because of that experience. That's why I took the non-paid internship.
So you look at this as from the long game, like these things now because there's a long game and because you are determined.
Mhm.
And you were doing it for an intentional for happenstance
Oh,
and
you
a
breaking up
desperation.
again.
Does that sound better?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So you're making these decisions based on a plan, not just from throwing stuff on the wall to see if it'll
Mhm.
stick. So when the internship was over, what was the conversation like about the offer to come on full time?
Oh. Oh, I was like, "Can I just work here full time?" I think I asked. It wasn't even an offer. It was just me. Me, come on now. Me being persistent. He probably was like, "Well, I might as well say yes because you're not gonna take a no."
Right.
So and it was a smaller company. It was
Okay.
it was like me and like a couple other people as analysts. So it was fine. It was
So
small,
then,
fine.
so now you're getting the experience and things seem to be picking up. And the reality of becoming a hotel owner is starting to seem more possible.
Yeah.
And do you remember the point where you're like, you know what? Now I feel like I have enough information, and I have enough confidence. I'm going to pursue owning my first
That
hotel.
that probably didn't happen until 10 years after I took that non-paid internship. And the reason why, I wouldn't say 10 years, maybe like 7 or 8 years, maybe, because I lost focus. I moved, I ended up getting a job in Boston doing pretty much the same thing, but just at a higher capacity. And it was more money. So moving to Boston and I was joining organizations and life happened and then so I and then I was so because when you're in that role, because it's technically you're a hotel consultant, you're helping other people with their dreams, right?
Mm,
So everybody else was, even though I was learning, I was helping everybody else. I really didn't and a lot of the people who I was helping, they already had money,
mm,
right? So I didn't understand how to like, I would call like one of my projects is so funny, which probably helped give me confidence in asking for money, was I had to call the banks on Wall Street,
okay.
like cold call, just straight up cold call and be like, "Hey, Vice President of Goldman Sachs, I need $100 million." You know what I mean? So I know that facial expression, right? Yeah.
So you're doing this. You're doing this for a client.
Doing this for a client. Yeah, we had a client.
Okay.
He was a billionaire. He didn't want to pay a broker to help him raise money. And
Okay.
so they were like, "Oh, well, Davonne do it." And I was like, "Sure, why not?" And so I didn't know what I was getting into, but it helped me,
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
like, sure, I'm eager to learn. And so they gave me a list of all these different banks in New York. And one of them was like Goldman Sachs and,
Mhm.
different banks. And so after a while, I learned about the pitch decks. I learned about, what to ask for, what to look for. And so, yeah, that's what I would do. I would get a list together and I would get up and call first thing in the morning. I learned that I definitely got a lot of no's. Some people did, and then another reason why they put me on the calls, because I guess they were men and the men were meaner to the men, but they were nice to me because I asked them how they were doing. Like the people on Wall Street, I'm like, "How's your day? Good morning." And they would be like, "What?" Like they would pause.
So you
They
got
would,
this. You got this Southern girl going
yeah,
into these on the Wall Street,
yeah.
being courteous, and
I
they
said,
want to talk to
how
you.
was your day? I was like, "How's your morning going?" And they're like, "What?" Like, it's like little, this one man was like, "Wait, huh?" I threw him off. Like he had to stop what he was doing. And he was like, "I guess it's going." I mean, because nobody, is
Nobody asked.
transaction. And I
Yeah.
was just like, well, and then this one guy, he was just so happy. He said, "Look, this is what you really need to do. In order for you to get it,
Okay.
this is what you need to say." He was training me. I said, "Oh my gosh." I should have kept in contact with him now that I think about it. He
You
was
were
just
leaving
like,
an impression.
I know, he was so
Yeah.
nice. And he said, "This is what you do. Nobody's going to do it if you do it
Right.
this way. You need to call this bank." I said, "Oh my goodness, thank you so much. You have a
Yeah.
great day."
But isn't it amazing how when you just do some of the simplest things by treating people like human
Mhm,
being and acting like you care, that people will freely give you information
mhm.
that you need.
And I still do it to this day.
I love it. I love
I
it.
still, good
So,
morning.
so you're getting the chance to did
I didn't
all
say
of
good
the,
morning to you. I said good afternoon. Good
well, good
afternoon.
afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So you're getting all of this information that is
Yeah.
necessary for you to become a hotel owner.
Right. Yeah.
That's coming up about 7 or 8 years
Yeah.
later, right?
Yeah.
So now let's fast forward. So as you're getting this information and you're starting to refocus, and you're like, you know what, it's time.
Right.
Do you remember like that moment of where you were like, you know what, I've done enough. I'm getting refocused, and it's time for me to knock this goal off because I know this is what I'm supposed to do. You remember that moment in time?
Oh yeah, it was after my grandma died.
Hmm.
And I felt so bad. I remember like it was yesterday. I felt so bad because I never checked in my hotel. She used to get on me too. Oh, you ain't gonna get your hotel. You're not grandma's can be. I guess you ain't gonna ever get it. I guess I ain't gonna live to see it. And I'd be like, Grandma, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. And I ain't never get the hotel for her to check in. And so that was the switch. It was like that was it. It was like I was so laser focused. It was insane. And they were like, nobody. As a matter of fact, I didn't even tell anybody. I told my business partner at the time. I was like, we're gonna close a hotel before my grandma's birthday, which was her birthday, February 6th, 2021. And she was like, oh, okay. Like she wasn't even paying attention. Like, okay, go girl. Because we were just starting off and forming. I just had the baby and I didn't have any money to buy a hotel.
She said, okay, go girl. Like,
Yeah, I mean, she was like, okay, Davonne, sure. Like, she's like, so that's like somebody telling you a wild idea. You don't want to be negative. So you'd be like, yeah, go
right.
for it. Like in your mind, you'd be like, well, okay. And so anyway, came across a business partner, Mike Ely with Nassau Investments. He found a deal in Oklahoma. That's why I partnered with the
Okay.
Oklahoma deal. And actually, to give you the full story, I did a dance on Facebook. Like it was the Instagram. It was the Chris Brown Go Crazy challenge.
Okay.
So I did it. I said, I'm about to go crazy for hotels. So I did this dance. And then they reached out to me. They said, Davonne, we found the hotel. It's because of your dance. It's because of your dance. I never forget that call. I was like, send me the stuff so I can look at it. They was like, the dance, Davonne. You
Wait
were
a
the first
minute.
person
So
I
there was this for, okay, so why did you do the day?
It was just a challenge. I was just trying to build up my social media. I mean, I just did this challenge. I practiced the dance. I had my baby in it. I'm just doing this dance,
So you were just doing a challenge, and then somehow that led to someone finding a deal?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's where El Reno came from.
Okay.
And so Go Crazy has a special place in my heart. That song. It's one of my favorite songs. And so it is. I always when I hear that song, I always think about that moment.
So with your business partner, you find this hotel deal. So was the El Reno hotel, that's the Home2 Suites, right?
Home2 Suites. And I never even heard of El Reno, never been to Oklahoma. I'm like, what?
Was that the only one in that offer, or was it more than one at the time? Was it just
it was just deal? One? Yeah, it was a solo deal. Because
that was the first one.
The owner, yeah, that was the first one. The owner I'm sure you are you familiar with that complex? There's like a whole bunch of hotels in that area.
Yep.
And so the owner owned all of them. And so this was during COVID. So he won't foreclose. He just started selling them off. And so anyway, so we took over the loan. And then we closed November. It was at the end of October. November 1st is when we closed. So prior to my goal of February 6th, 2000. And it was so funny because I remember when we closed and I called my best friend. We talk like every day. Like if not every day, once a week. Like we talk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, I was like, we closed on the hotel. And she was like, oh, for your clients? I said, like, no, I just bought up. I said, no, I just bought up. She said, wait a minute. We talk every day, Davonne. Every single day. How you just gonna buy a hotel? Like who? Yeah. Oh, it was crazy. Like people, because it would just came out of nowhere. It was just like, what?
But I think there are times where, and I can relate to that, because there's sometimes like you have to be so focused you just can't tell people. Like I can't tell you what I'm doing because I don't want to have unnecessary conversation about it. I got to be focused when it's done. It's done, right? And I hope that even when I do that, that people don't take it personal. It's not personal. Some people do. Yeah, you got to get really focused. And what I feel what is amazing about that, and that's kind of around the time shortly after where I found out about you through an article. And what I love about that story is I was like, y'all, and this is what I was really deep into creating the Black-owned business list. Because we've had that conversation about not much visibility in Oklahoma. But when I said it, they were like, there's not one. I said, there is. It's in Reno. Because for places like Oklahoma and emerging markets, although we do have, there's Tulsa and there's a lot of work being done in Tulsa, there aren't many visible examples of younger people doing what we would consider big things, like doing the daring thing or being in a hotel, whereas most folks want to be in restaurants or food truck or they want to open up a boutique, but there are other industries to be a part of. So when you made that after it closed, talk about that feeling, that moment of accomplishment, knowing that you did it before your grandmother's birthday. You remember that feeling?
Yeah, I should have tapped in it more.
Okay.
I didn't I was happy and I was like, oh my gosh. I think I screamed. I was like, oh my gosh. But I don't think I really I had a baby, we had the closing table. He running around in the bank when I'm wiring the funds. So it was kind of hard to really be happy because he was taking the pens and this was like during COVID. So it was nobody in the bank. So he was like, wee. So he just learned how to walk. So it was a lot. I was like, oh my God. So I really couldn't, really, take in the moment. I think even when we went to the hotel for our investors retreat, I still didn't, I'd walk through the lobby playing Beyonce because I said that when I get my hotel, I'm gonna walk through the lobby playing Move Forever and this was gonna happen. And I really still didn't, savor so I'm trying to do a better job of appreciating the moment. I think I talked about this before in the beginning of the podcast about, a lot of times with ambitious people, we looking for the next. So when I was going viral, I was trying to close another deal. So y'all like, oh my gosh, why are you not happy? I'm like, because I'm trying to close this hotel. What are you talking about? So yeah. So just being in the moment.
Okay. So then that first hotel comes, a lot of press comes. Did you anticipate the attention that you were going to get?
Oh my gosh, no.
From that?
Oh my gosh, no. No.
How did that change your life?
Oh my gosh. I mean, the people still talking about the article. Oh my gosh. Like I couldn't even imagine. I would have never, we put the article out trying to get like investors and stuff. We didn't even know that it was going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I always wanted to be in Black Enterprise. I really wanted to be in Essence. Like I keep putting it out there. I'm just waiting for Essence to be
Come
like,
on,
what's
Essence.
up, girl?
Come
on, Essence. I'm just waiting. I say this all the time. Essence, what's up? That's all I'm waiting. I feel like I'll make it. I made it in life once I got it on Essence.
It's coming.
Really, I made it in life once I speak at the Essence Festival. Then I'll be like, you know what?
On that stage.
I'm here. I'm here. It can be a little small stage. I'm okay.
Well, let me give you your flowers because
thank you.
I can even say for me, like I have never met somebody that was Black, female, under 40, owning a hotel that's not from the state and in El Reno. All those things, never seen him. And so to be able to say that I know the person, I remember after you did the book and I got the book, somebody else was like, hey, ask hotels. And I said, hey, well, my friend Davonne, she has this book. It's like, you know her? I was like, yeah, she's going to be at the conference coming up. And just to be able to just say, man, I know that person. And to be able to have this conversation about what it took to get there. And I think
it's breaking up again.
Oh man.
I don't know. I think it's your internet.
It might be me because the storm is about to come in.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So just to be able to say that I know someone that has accomplished, now you have three, and now you have an investment platform. It's
Yeah.
inspiring to me because we don't get to see much in place where there are not a lot of Black people.
Yeah.
So to be able to talk to you about it is inspiring. And I hope that you're able to take that time to see that you've started this inspiration train, this desire for people to want to get into, even in the group. We haven't got to investors. We had a few minutes left on the podcast, but you've
Your
started this
phone
process
break.
of acquiring.
Yes, yeah, it's breaking up because of the internet. You may have to, yeah. You may
Okay,
have to voice
is that
over some of the stuff.
is that better?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then you go from hotel ownership and now a platform where you're helping other people own hotels. So talk to us about Vestor and why you started that and where Vestor is now.
Yeah, so Vestor, it's a crowdfunding platform where you can raise capital or invest in commercial real estate, including hotels. And I came up with that concept actually when I started to raise capital, and I was trying to find different places to raise capital, and it was hard. And once I found out that I can do it, I was like, oh, I'll just do it. And so I'm more of a I don't really complain because I feel like if you're going to complain, then fix it. So I'm not going to say, oh, the reason why there's not a lot of people of color that's in commercial real estate because of access to capital. I'm like, okay, well, what can we do to fix it instead of just complaining about it, right? So I'm more of an action person. Like, let's just fix it, so we don't have to sit here and complain about it. And so that's why one of the reasons why I created Vestor is so that way folks can get access to capital through equity partners. And then there are people with money who want to invest. And there's a lot of people that don't know, they don't have a marketplace. They don't know where to go. They didn't know what's possible to invest in a hotel. So a lot of people, I mean, Black people got money, right? Minorities have money. So, so it's like, okay, if they have money to invest and you need the money, I'm just gonna connect you. I'm a connector. I connect folks. That's what I do. I'm a connect y'all do y'all thing and keep moving. So that's what I do. And so pretty much all of my career and all of the things that have happened into my life, it just literally rolled up, balled up, put it in a purple bow, because that's our brand color of Vestor. And the reason why it's purple, because that was my grandmother's favorite color.
I love that.
And we launched on July 11th because that was my dad's birthday, and I'm a huge Beyonce fan, and 7-Eleven. So 7-Eleven will always be, oh yeah, it's always got to have a meaning.
It's always the connection. 7-Eleven, you'd be a Oklahoma-based company now. It's in Texas, but we ain't talking about that. So you have a book teaching people how to own a hotel, to buy, own a hotel. You have the Vestor platform. You're a hotel owner. You have all of these accomplishments, all of these things.
And I have a directory of Black-owned hotels too.
And now you have a directory. You're going through all these doors. And
it's really bad. Yeah.
It's breaking up again too?
Yeah. It's the internet. It's wherever you are. It's the internet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting dark outside. So the trees are acting a little funny. Okay, so if I am a person, you are who you are at this stage and age right now, and I am fresh. I'm fresh out of college. Let's say I'm 25, and I'm coming to you and I say, Miss Davonne, I want to own a hotel like you. What wisdom would you give that young person like me at 25 on how to become a hotel owner?
I would say the first thing you want to do is focus on something small. A lot of times people, they see me or people like me or other accomplished folks, and they're like, I want to do what you do. Okay, first you need to understand the fundamentals. You have to literally crawl before you can walk. And so I would say focus on residential, maybe a duplex, or get like an Airbnb or a short-term rental, so you can understand the operating process and the rate process, and really focus on your credit. Focus on, building your funds so that way you can have, money, because you're going to need money to buy a hotel. Like you're going to need at least 6 figures to put down to help out with soft costs. And so that's what I will focus on, focus on your assets, meaning, getting if you can get a duplex, understanding credit, business credit, leveraging credit, really understanding OPM. Like if I had to start all over again, that's what I would do. I would go that pathway. Some people, they start off with residential, multifamily, and then hotels. I think that's a great pathway. It can be hard to go from just hotels. Some folks, they did residential, short-term rentals, and then hotels. So that could be a pathway that you can go. Some people, they invested in a hotel first, understand the process, and then they went out and bought the hotel. So understand the process, understand the business, but really focus on your credit, focus on, building, because you're going to need some money, so start, understanding business credit and leveraging credit, and really understand, because hotels is real estate. And a lot of people, they don't realize that. So when you understand real estate, understand finance, understanding analyzing deals, that'll help. That'll help out a lot, and building relationships. So that's what helped me, was building relationships.
So now you have the platform Vestor. So Vestor is a platform that someone that is younger and experienced, they could learn more about these opportunities through Vestor, through some different training that Vestor's offers, right?
Correct. Yeah, if they have some money that they want to passively invest, and because commercial real estate is a little bit longer than residential. A lot of people, they get excited. Ooh, I want to invest in a hotel, but you probably don't get your full money back until 5 years. So you have to, you want to educate yourself first. So I don't, folks, they saving up for a down payment on a house, thinking they're going to flip it with a hotel. That's not the play. That's not the move. I'm real transparent and honest on that. So yeah. So investors, definitely, like I said, is connecting the folks who want to invest and the people who need equity partners to complete their deal.
Okay. Last question.
Okay.
So why would your grandmother be proud of you today?
Say it again.
Why would your grandmother be proud of you today?
Ooh, I can hear her now. Ooh, you finally got your hotel. About time. It took you long enough. So she'll say that. She won't ever say she's proud of me. She didn't say, she was an old school grandma from that generation. So she wouldn't say, I'm proud of you. She wouldn't even go visit. But what she would be happy, that I'm a good mom to my son. And, that as long as I'm a good person and I treat people fairly. So, that's all. And as long as I didn't embarrass my grandma, she was proud of me.
All right. Officially last one. So why are you proud of yourself?
I am proud of myself because I understand that when I put my mind to it, I do it. I'm proud of, the person, the woman that I'm becoming. It is falling all in love with myself and really appreciating myself and not being so hard. Cause I used to be really, really, really hard. And now I take more accountability, and I try to understand and reflect, and I just try to be a better person every day. But probably my most proudest accomplishment is my son. He's just a beautiful kid. He just gets along with everybody. He's smart. He about to be the king of his pre-K graduation. I mean, he wants to be a pilot when he grows up. So, sometimes I'm like, I'm not doing a good job. I remember that mom guilt. I'm like, I'm not doing a good job. And then he does. Then the teacher's like, he's doing amazing in school. He's one of our top students. So when I get that, that's just like, you know what, all of this other stuff is okay. But, seeing my baby and just hoping and praying that he just he continues to be a confident and grows into a handsome, strong, confident, Black man. And that'll be my proudest moment. So I just want to leave the world a better place than how I found it. And, I'm very proud, that folks who never even would have thought about investing in commercial real estate, yet alone hotels, and they're doing it. And they're buying hotels, and they're talking about hotel ownership at the dinner table when they're making their first investment, and they're working on their credit and putting their money together so they can be a hotel owner. So when I hear these stories, it's like, really? So I'm proud of that. Now I see Black little girls and they want to do a history project on me. And now they say they want to be a hotel owner when they grow up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and so that stuff, those moments keep me going and they make me proud. And I think it's such a beautiful thing. My grandma's sisters, they're still here. So they tell me that they're proud of me. So it's just my nana, my dad's mother, she was alive to see me with the hotel. And she said that she was proud of me. So yeah. So
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm definitely proud of you. And
well, thank you.
I love watching what you do with all the stuff I got going on and things I'm trying to build. I'm like, man, I gotta go back and make sure look at the book that Davonne had. I gotta check the group because you always drop. You're free to drop and share information. That's what I love about what you do. And I definitely see the blessings that God has for you. And you are an amazing mom. I see your son smiling all the time. So we definitely get that from you. So I appreciate that. So Davonne, if someone wants to find you or support you, what is the best way for them to do that?
They can find me on Instagram, Davonne Reaves. You can find me on Facebook, the Vonne Group. Really, you can find me on Instagram. Everything is on Instagram. If you're on LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn as well. You can go to Vestor.com. We finished our first raise a couple months ago, and now we have some more deals on the platform. So if you're looking to for different places to invest, or if you want to raise some capital, go to Vestor.com, and we're looking forward to working with you.
Awesome. So y'all make sure y'all follow Davonne Reaves, who we affectionately call her the queen of hotels, the diva of hotels. She does some amazing work.
You know who gave me that name? Lamar Tyler. Because I know you're part of TSP. Yeah. He called me the hotel
I'll see them
diva.
next month. Yeah, I'll be in Atlanta in June for the conference. I'll definitely be there.
I'll be in Belize, so I won't see you.
Oh man, I love Belize. I went to I stayed in Placentia in Belize. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I love that. Man, so congratulations on all the amazing work you've done. I know there are a lot of people proud of you, and I'm pretty sure you'll start seeing more people come up to you and want to do more history presentations about you while you're influencing them. And I'm very proud of that, to be able to say that I know you as a person. I know you personally. So you definitely inspire me too. So for those of you who had a chance to watch this podcast, appreciate it.
I'm mad you didn't invite me to be on your podcast. I had to reach out to you.
What you talking about?
Oh yeah. See, look, you thought I forgot.
Look, I'm trying to close it out. And you Okay.
I ain't put that in there. I just had to let the record know. Had to set it straight.
This is my dog. This is my dog do when she gets trouble. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking time to join me in that. And we'll do another podcast as a follow-up. And this time I'll reach out to you. I definitely won't forget you at all. But
I know you didn't forget. I know.
Oh, no,
I'm just messing with you.
So if you see this episode, do us a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Bigger Than Food on YouTube. Like, subscribe, turn those notifications, because your support helps us grow as we reach out to more people. And if you want to be a guest, feel free to reach out to us on the Bigger Than Food podcast. And like we always say, our mission is bigger than food, and be intentional about how you support a Black-owned business today. Thank you for joining the Bigger Than Food podcast. We hope you found inspiration in stories shared today. Remember, it's the courage to take action that drives real change in the world. Be sure to subscribe to the Bigger Than Food podcast for more conversations with movers and shakers who are shaping our tomorrow. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep believing,